I remember the day my parents sat me down in the living room like it was yesterday. I was 7, wearing my favorite purple dress with butterflies, holding my worn teddy bear. Mom and Dad told me they wouldn't be living together anymore. They were calm, no yelling, no fighting. Just two grown-ups who didn't love each other like before, deciding to go their own ways. I didn't cry. Maybe I was too young to understand what it all meant. They split everything so neatly. Mom got the house, Dad moved to a new apartment, and I got 2 bedrooms. The custody plan was simple. 1 week with Mom, 1 week with Dad. Dad, being the way he was, made sure Mom and I were taken care of financially. About a year later, Dad met Angela. I remember when he first introduced her to me at a diner. She had kind eyes and a warm smile. Her son Adam was sitting next to her, playing with some fries. "Hi, Laura," Angela said, her eyes crinkling at the corners. "Your dad's told me so much about you." Adam looked up and asked, "Are you going to be my sister?" I liked them right away. Angela didn't try too hard or act fake like some of Dad's other dates. She was just herself. And Adam, who was 4 years younger than me, became the little brother I never had. Around the same time, Mom started dating Jeremy. He moved in pretty quickly, and I noticed Mom seemed different, distracted, always touching her stomach when she thought no one saw. They got married at City Hall, and 3 months later, my half-sister Rachel was born. I remember standing in the hospital room, looking at this tiny pink baby in Mom's arms. Jeremy hovered over them, completely focused on his new family. I stood in the corner, feeling like I didn't quite fit in, like I was watching a picture being made that didn't include me. That same year, Dad and Angela got married too. Their wedding felt different. They made sure Adam and I were part of everything. Angela even let me help choose her dress. During the ceremony, Dad said special vows to both Adam and me. "Today, I'm not just gaining a wife," he said, his voice full of emotion. "I'm gaining another child to love. And our 2 amazing kids are gaining a bigger family." That night, after the wedding, Angela tucked me into bed at their house. She kissed my forehead and said, "You know, Laura, I always wanted a daughter. Thank you for letting me be part of your life." I hugged her tightly, feeling grateful. Even though my family wasn't like other people's, I realized I was lucky to have one place where I truly felt at home. Life at Mom's house changed after Rachel was born. It wasn't like anything big or mean happened. No yelling or bad treatment. It was just like I started fading into the background, like I wasn't really there anymore. Mom quit her job to stay home with Rachel, and everything became about the baby. At first, I told myself it was normal. Babies need a lot of attention, right? But after a while, it started to hurt. At first, it was little things, then it became bigger. I remember standing outside school in the rain after a parent-teacher conference. All the other kids had left with their parents, and I was still waiting. Mrs. Dennis, my 5th grade teacher, stayed with me for almost an hour before she finally called Mom. "Oh no, was that today?" Mom's voice crackled on the phone. "I'm so sorry. I was at Rachel's mommy and me class. Can we reschedule?" But we never did. That day, Jeremy picked me up. He barely looked at me, too busy talking on the phone about work the whole drive home. Then there was my 11th birthday. I woke up so excited, thinking Mom would say, "Happy birthday," at least. But when I ran downstairs, I found her fussing over Rachel in the kitchen. "Mom," I said, standing in the doorway, "do you know what day it is?" She looked up, distracted. "Thursday? Oh, I need to take Rachel to her doctor's appointment." My heart sank. "It's my birthday." Her eyes widened. "Oh, Laura, I'm so sorry. We'll celebrate this weekend, okay? I just have so much going on today with Rachel's checkup." But the weekend came and went, and no one mentioned my birthday again. I started spending more time at Dad's house. It felt different there. Angela always made sure my favorite snacks were stocked in the pantry, and Adam and I spent hours playing video games or doing homework together. Dad never missed any school events, and Angela often came too. She'd take pictures and cheer me on like I was her own daughter. Over time, I stayed at Dad's house more and more. A few days turned into weeks, then months. Mom barely noticed. She was always busy with Rachel, feeding her, playing with her, or taking her to playdates. When Jeremy came home from work, He'd kiss Rachel on the forehead and head straight to his office. Sometimes I felt like I didn't exist in that house at all. I wondered if anyone would even notice if I disappeared. After about 7 months of mostly living at Dad's, he decided to make it official. "I talked to your mom today," he told me one evening. "I think it makes sense for you to live here permanently. You're here most of the time anyway, and I told her I'd stop the alimony payments since I'm taking care of you full-time now." A few hours later, Mom showed up at the door. She was all worried looks and loving words. "Sweetie, I've missed you so much," she said, hugging me tightly for the first time in what felt like forever. "I've been thinking, and I want us to go back to our original arrangement. I want you home with me half the time, like before." I was 13 by then, old enough to see through it. The sudden concern, the promises, it wasn't about missing me. It was about the money. Without Dad's alimony checks, she wanted me back at her life. Rachel, who was 5 by then, started making things worse. She'd follow me around with a smug little smile, waiting until Mom and Jeremy were out of earshot to say mean things. "Daddy says you're not really part of our family," she told me once while I was doing homework at the kitchen table. "He says you're just visiting." I tried to ignore her and focus on my math, but she kept going. "Mommy and Daddy love me more than you. Last night, Daddy told Mommy he's tired of you being here. And Mommy said just wait until she turns 19. Then the money stops, and she'll be gone." It hurt, of course. How could it not? But by then, I'd learned to protect myself, to build walls around that kind of pain. I had Dad and Angela, who showed me what real family love looked like. I had Adam, who was more of a sibling to me than Rachel would ever be. Still, hearing your own mom basically count down the days until you're out of her life, that leaves scars. The years dragged on until I finally made it to high school graduation. During the ceremony, I sat between my two families, Dad, Angela, and Adam on one side, Mom, Jeremy, and Rachel on the other. It felt like sitting between two different worlds. After the ceremony, Dad hugged me tight. "We're so proud of you, Princess," he said. Meanwhile, Mom and Jeremy were already talking about me leaving before we'd even left the parking lot. "So," Jeremy said, jingling his car keys, "have you started packing yet?" They didn't ask about my college plans. They didn't care that I'd gotten into a business program with a partial scholarship. They didn't even pretend to be interested in my future. All they wanted to know was when I'd be out of their house. 3 weeks later, I moved all my things to Dad's house. I remember sitting in the living room, feeling nervous about asking for help with college expenses. I knew Dad would never say no, but it still felt hard to ask. "Dad, I got accepted into the financial analyst program," I said, holding the acceptance letter and fiddling with the edges. "I got a partial scholarship, but..." Before I could finish, Dad and Angela smiled at each other. "We've already got it covered, honey," Angela said, pulling out a folder. "We've been saving for your college since you were 8. That summer, I worked at the Silver Spoon Cafe and saved every penny I could. I usually worked morning shifts, so my afternoons were free to spend with my real family. Adam and I went to movies, Angela taught me how to cook proper meals for living in the dorm, and Dad was just Dad, always there with advice or a hug when I needed one. Mom never called to ask about my plans, never stopped by, never showed any interest in the fact that her oldest daughter was about to go to college. By then, I'd stopped expecting her to care. College started in a whirlwind of new faces and experiences. My dorm room was tiny but cozy, and my roommate Olivia was nice, though we never became close. Between classes and working at the campus cafe, I barely had time to breathe. But I made sure to call Dad and Angela at least twice a week. They visited whenever they could, and Adam always tagged along, complaining about carrying my laundry basket but bringing my favorite snacks from home. Mom never called. Not even once. My 20th birthday came and went without so much as a text from her. I told myself not to check my phone, not to hope, but it's hard to let go of old habits. That night, I made the mistake of looking at her Facebook page. There they were, dozens of pictures of her perfect family. Mom, Jeremy, and Rachel at the beach. Rachel's dance recital. Family dinners. Holiday celebrations. Each photo perfectly staged, each caption talking about family times and loving my family. I wasn't in any of them. Of course not. I'd been cut out of their lives a long time ago. After that, I threw myself into my studies. I wanted to prove to myself that I didn't need their approval to succeed. Time passed quickly, and before I knew it, I was walking across the stage to get my diploma in financial analysis. Dad cheered so loudly you'd think I had just won an Olympic medal. After graduation, Angela approached me with a job lead. Her brother Roger owned a successful investment firm in our hometown, and she had told him about my hard work and good grades. The interview with Roger went well. He was professional but friendly, a lot like Angela. He got straight to the point but made me feel comfortable. "Your credentials are impressive," he said, looking over my resume. "But I want to be clear. The fact that you're my sister's stepdaughter doesn't give you any special treatment here. You'll have to prove yourself like everyone else." "I wouldn't want it any other way," I replied. I got the job and moved into a small one-bedroom apartment near the office. It wasn't fancy, but it was mine. I worked harder than ever, taking on the tough projects no one else wanted, staying late to fine-tune financial models, and creating detailed growth strategies for our clients. The results spoke for themselves. My clients' portfolios grew significantly, and the company's revenue went up. Roger noticed. He didn't play favorites, but he rewarded hard work. The raises and bonuses I earned were because of my efforts, not because of family ties. When I got my first big bonus, I decided to spoil my real family. I bought Dad a new set of golf clubs to replace the ones he'd been using for 16 years. I got Angela a spa weekend package because she never treated herself. For Adam, I bought the latest gaming console since he was still using his old one from high school. Watching them open their gifts and seeing their smiles made me feel so happy. I realized I didn't need to be in one family's photo album. I had found my place in a better family. After 6 years of hard work, I had a solid plan for my future. Every month, I saved a portion of my salary, researching the housing market to find the perfect home. I wanted something simple but cozy, maybe with a small garden. Most of all, I wanted to make a big down payment so my mortgage would be affordable. Then one day, everything changed. I was at my desk reviewing quarterly reports when my phone rang. The number on the screen was one I hadn't seen in years. "Laura, sweetie," Mom's voice came through, overly sweet. "I've been thinking about you so much lately." I almost dropped my coffee. 10 years of silence, and now this? "How are you, Mom?" I asked, keeping my voice calm. "Oh, honey, I miss you." "We all do," she said, her tone overly sweet. "Why don't you come over for dinner this weekend? Rachel's home from college, and Jeremy's making his famous pot roast." Curiosity got the better of me, so that Monday I drove to my old house in my new Mercedes. It wasn't flashy, but it was reliable and professional. Rachel opened the door and looked me up and down, trying to hide her curiosity. "Nice car," she said, skipping a proper greeting. The house was the same furniture, same family photos on the walls. Still none of me. Mom rushed over to hug me like no time had passed. "Darling, you look fantastic. So professional in that suit. Jeremy, doesn't she look successful?" Jeremy nodded and pulled out a chair for me at the table. "We heard you're doing very well at Roger's company. Word is you're one of their top performers." All through dinner, they asked questions about my job, my salary, and my car. Mom kept mentioning how expensive everything was these days, especially with Rachel in college. "That's such a beautiful watch," Mom said, grabbing my wrist to get a closer look. "Must have cost a fortune." I smiled politely. It was a birthday gift from Dad and Angela. "Of course it was," she said, her smile tightening. "They always did spoil you." That dinner turned into more invitations. Suddenly, Mom wanted to be involved in my life again. She called regularly, stopped by my apartment unannounced, often bringing Rachel with her. They invited me to family dinners, but something about it all fell off. Rachel would wander around my modest apartment, snooping. "This place is kind of small," she said once, her tone dripping with judgment. "I thought you made good money." I kept my answer short. "It suits my needs." Mom would chime in, "But surely you're planning to upgrade soon with your salary?" I'd just smile and change the subject. Their sudden interest in my life made me uneasy. One Friday afternoon, Rachel came over, supposedly to spend some sister time. While I was in the kitchen making coffee, I heard her gasp. "Oh my God," she exclaimed from the living room. I walked in to find her staring at my laptop screen. I had forgotten to close my banking app after paying some bills. "Is that really how much money you have saved?" she asked, her eyes wide. I quickly closed the laptop. "It's not polite to look at other people's private information, Rachel." She ignored me. "Why are you saving so much? What's it for?" I hesitated, but decided there was no harm in telling her. "I'm planning to buy a house soon. I want to make a good down payment, so my mortgage payments are manageable." Rachel just nodded, but I could tell she was thinking about something. She left shortly after, saying she had to meet some friends. The very next day, Mom called to invite me to dinner. As soon as I sat down at their dining table, I knew something was going on. Mom had that look, the one she used to get before asking Dad for more child support. "Rachel tells me you're quite the saver," she said, passing the potatoes. "That's wonderful, honey. You know, Rachel's been having such a hard time with college expenses, and she'll need an apartment after graduation." I took a bite of my food and stayed quiet. "It would be so nice if her successful big sister could help her out," Mom continued, her tone full of suggestion. "Family helping family, you know." I put down my fork. "I don't understand what you're getting at, Mom." "Oh, come on, Laura," she said, dropping her sweet tone. "You're clearly doing well for yourself. Rachel needs help with an apartment, and you have more than enough saved up. It's the right thing to do." I stared at her in disbelief. "The right thing to do? You mean give Rachel the money I've been saving for a house?" "Well, you're already established in your career," Jeremy said, jumping in. "Rachel's just starting out. She needs the help more than you do." "I'm not established," I said firmly. "I'm working hard and saving for my future. I'm not giving Rachel my savings." Mom's face darkened. "So, you're just going to let your sister struggle while you sit on a pile of money? After all we've done for you?" I almost laughed. "All you've done for me? Like what? Forget my birthdays? Ignore me for years? Push me aside for Rachel?" "You're being selfish," Jeremy muttered, not meeting my eyes. "A real sister would want to help. A real mother would have been there for both her daughters." I shot back, standing up. "I'm taking care of myself first. Rachel is your responsibility, not mine." The silence was deafening. Mom sat there with her jaw clenched while Jeremy glared at his plate. Rachel wasn't at the dinner, but I could imagine her reaction when they told her later. Poor Rachel, with her selfish big sister who wouldn't give her a free apartment. 3 weeks after that disastrous dinner, I left for a business trip to Thailand. Roger had trusted me with an important client presentation, and I knew I'd be out of touch most of the time due to the time difference and my packed schedule. "I'll be gone for about 10 days, I told Mom over the phone, trying to be polite despite our recent argument. "Just letting you know I'll be out of contact." "Oh, overseas? How nice for you," she said, her tone oddly interested. The trip went well, but when I landed back home, my phone blew up with notifications as soon as I turned off airplane mode. Banking alerts, dozens of them. My hands started shaking as I scrolled through. Account transfer, $2,550. Account transfer, $3,800. The world felt like it was spinning. I rushed home, threw open my laptop, and logged into my banking app. There it was, a massive transfer to an account I didn't recognize. But the name on the account? Maria Shriver. My mother. I drove to their house, furious, with screenshots of the transactions pulled up on my phone. I pounded on their door. Jeremy opened it, giving me a smug look that made my blood boil. "Where is she?" I demanded, shoving past him. Mom was sitting in the living room, as calm as could be, flipping through a magazine. "Oh, you're back. How was your trip?" she asked casually. I shoved my phone in her face. "What is this? How did you transfer money from my account?" She barely glanced at the screen. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Don't lie to me," I shouted. "It's right here. A transfer to your account. How did you do it?" Finally, she put down her magazine and smirked.
"Fine.
"Yes, I transferred the money. Rachel needs an apartment, and you weren't being cooperative, so we helped ourselves." My voice shook. "How did you even get into my apartment?" Mom reached into her purse and pulled out a key. Remember when I borrowed your bathroom that day I visited? It only takes a minute to make a copy. I felt sick to my stomach. Give me my money back.
Now.
Or I'm going to the police. Mom actually laughed. Don't be ridiculous. You won't go to the police. I'm your mother. Besides, you have a good job, no responsibilities. You can save up again. Rachel needs this more than you do. We've already found her the perfect apartment. I'm serious, I said, cutting her off. Return my money. Or what? Mom sneered. You'll send your own mother to jail?
Please.
You don't have the spine. Jeremy grabbed my arm, pushing me toward the door. I think it's time for you to leave, he said coldly. I turned back to Mom, my voice steady despite my shaking hands. This is your last chance. Return the money.
Now.
I warned them to give me back my money. Mom's only response was a smirk and a wave goodbye. Jeremy shoved me out onto the porch and slammed the door in my face. That night, I went to the police station. It was quiet as I sat across from Lawrence Welk, steadying my hand to fill out the complaint form. I had all the evidence, screenshots of the unauthorized transfers, text messages about my business trip, and everything else that proved what happened. Jeremy called me later that night. His tone switched between threats and fake concern. You need to withdraw the complaint, he demanded. Do you know what you're doing to your mother? She's crying. I hung up. Let her cry. I'd cried plenty over the years because of her. The legal process moved quickly. The evidence was overwhelming, and Mom's smug confession didn't help her case. In court, she tried to play the role of the remorseful mother. Tears streamed down her face as she promised to return every penny. I just wanted to help my younger daughter, she sobbed. I let my maternal instincts cloud my judgment. I almost laughed out loud. Maternal instincts? Since when? The judge wasn't buying it. Mrs. Shriver, your so-called maternal instincts led you to commit premeditated theft and fraud against your other daughter. The only reason you're not going to prison is your agreement to make full restitution and your lack of a prior criminal record. Mom got a suspended sentence and was ordered to return my money within 31 days. I also got a restraining order against her and Jeremy, just to be safe. Dad and Angela stood by me through everything. They sat behind me in court, brought me meals when I was too drained to cook, and never once said, I told you so about letting Mom back into my life. You did the right thing, Angela said after the sentencing. They needed to learn they couldn't take advantage of you anymore. Adam, in his usual way, tried to make me smile. Well, at least now you know which family actually loves you. He was right. The lines were clear now. I had my real family, Dad, Angela, Adam, even Roger, who had been incredibly supportive through it all. And then there were the others, Mom, Jeremy, and Rachel, who had shown their true colors in the most dramatic way possible. 7 months have passed since then. My money is back in my account, earning interest while I search for a house. I've got my eye on a beautiful 4-bedroom colonial with a fenced backyard, just 10 minutes from Dad and Angela's place. The mortgage paperwork is being finalized, and this time, I'll be the only one with the keys to my home. Mom still tries to reach out now and then, either through relatives or mutual acquaintances. She says she's changed, that she's sorry, and that she wants to make things right. But I'm done giving chances to people who see me as nothing more than someone to take advantage of. Yesterday, I had dinner with my real family to celebrate my upcoming house purchase. As we sat around Angela and Dad's dining table, laughing and making plans for my housewarming party, I realized something important. The family you choose can be better than the one you're born into. And sometimes, letting go of toxic people is the healthiest choice you can make. In 3 weeks, I'll be signing the papers for my new house. Dad is already planning to help me paint the walls, and Angela keeps sending me links to furniture she thinks would look great in my living room. This is what family is supposed to be, people who love you, support you, and would never dream of hurting you for their own gain. As for Mom, Jeremy, and Rachel, they can keep their perfect family photos and their manipulative games. I have something far better, a real family, peace of mind, and soon, a house with exactly 1 set of keys.